is about sharing ideas with Russians. This is about sharing ideas with Americans. This is a journey that I hope everybody will accompany me on. I mean, I'll do my best to get feedback through you.
We should tell our fans who now become accustomed to finding us here every Friday night that we won't be doing Ask the Inspector necessarily at this time and day, and probably not, but we're going to try to do some podcasts, but you just won't know too much in advance the exact day and time. But while you're gone, this time slot will be occupied by a brand new show we're premiering next Friday night at this time. So if you're used to tuning in here and you want to see some good content, you can still do that. Strange Bedfellows with Laurie Spencer and Tyler McConnell. It's a show that brings together thought leaders from all sides of the political spectrum to find points of agreement and foster cooperation between political camps. And we're going to have them just babysit this time slot. And then when you come back, we'll resume and we'll find a different time slot for
I don't know. It sounds to me like I've been fired.
You feel
threatened. Sort of like, Tucker Carlson showing up at work at Fox News. They're going, yeah, no, you're not. You don't have that time slot anymore.
Thank you for your service. And we're now going to continue.
Scott, I'll be in Russia trying to connect. Hey, Jeff, I really want to do a podcast. Scott, who?
Sorry, bad internet. Bad internet.
Bad internet. That's right.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Strange Bedfellows. I'm your host, Laurie Spencer, along with my good friend, Tyler McConnell. And as you just heard, we are filling Scott's time slot while he's away in Russia with this new show. And I don't know about you, Tyler, but I feel very much like Brian Kilmeade sitting down at the Fox News anchor desk the night after they fired Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, whoever that guy is.
Yeah, everybody's going to hate
just like
us.
Who are these people?
Just please don't throw tomatoes. We're just trying to hold down the fort and keep you entertained and keep this time slot warm for Scott. And this new show is something entirely unique out there, I think, in the YouTube stratosphere. What we aim to do with Strange Bedfellows is bring together people from all sides of the political spectrum. In fact, Tyler and I are about as far apart as you could get on the political spectrum.
Yes,
I'm a
ma'am.
libertarian and Tyler's a communist.
That's true. Just come on out and say it in America. A
Damn
conservative Christian communist, Laurie. Let's figure out what that means.
We are going to figure out what that means. We're going to dig into all of that.
How is that possible?
And, it turns out we agree more than we disagree. And that's kind of the point of this show, is that even if we have disagreements about economics or what form of government we want, when it comes to the big stuff, things like stopping World War III and not incinerating the planet in a nuclear exchange, I think we can agree on things like that.
Or agreeing maybe Joe Biden's not the best person to lead our country. Maybe not the smartest guy. The guy with the golden toilet, he was interesting, but we can probably find something a little bit. We're the anti-establishment. We're on the left and right, but what brings us together is up and down.
Right.
That's how I see
exactly. And we're going to have some really interesting guests here on the show as well. And Scott may join us from time to time. Unfortunately, and the reason we're in this time slot is when it's 8:00 p.m. Eastern, it's like 3:00 in the morning in Russia. So we didn't want to wake him up in the middle of the night. But I did want to start off here at the top of the show with an update from Scott, because, of course, he's there in Russia when that attack on the Kremlin happened the other night. And we wanted to hear from Scott, find out, what's going on over there, what the reaction is of the Russian people, and get some analysis from Ritter, because we know that that's why you're here and what you tuned in for. So I'm going to ask our producer, Jeff, to roll this clip. Scott just made this video for us yesterday, and let's get the latest from him.
Hi, Ritter. Talking to you from Irkutsk, Russia. Just with a brief comment on the drone attack against the Kremlin that took place last night. Right now, the feeling is that this was an attack carried out, if not directly by Ukraine, definitely on the orders of Ukraine. And I think Dmitry Medvedev, the former president of Russia, has said it best that the Zelensky regime and Zelensky himself will probably have to be liquidated, which means killed. Now, some people out there might think that that's a rather harsh response, but I would ask them to consider in the following. If there was a hostile actor who had said they plan on attacking the White House with drones, and then drones attack the White House, how long do you think it would take for the United States to eliminate them from the face of the earth? And the answer is not very long. So it's a double standard, a little bit of hypocrisy to have a situation where the Ukrainians say, we plan on sending drones to attack Moscow on or about May 9th, Victory Day, and then a pair of drones arrives in Moscow and hits the Kremlin. The Ukrainians said they were going to do it. It was done. And now I think the Ukrainians are going to be held fully accountable for it. How and when this will occur, it's a decision only the Russian government can make. But I think Dmitry Medvedev's sentiment is shared widely amongst the Russian people, and there will be an accounting, and it isn't going to end well with for Zelensky. Thanks for giving me a chance to address this, and hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you, Scott. It's a scary thought, though. I understand the desire to strike back, as well they should. But Tyler, what happens if they kill Zelensky? Then what does the other side do?
Yeah, well, who's the next puppet in line, right? That's
Right.
the question.
Could be worse, worse than Zelensky.
Could be. I don't know how, but I guess I'm sure there's someone in the pipeline. I wish
course.
they'd just send Victoria Nuland over there herself, and she can just run the country and pass out cookies, and we can cut all the middleman BS, you know?
Send Chrystia Freeland. She's actually Ukrainian.
Yeah, just
Deputy
have
Prime
a
Minister of
triumvirate
Canada.
of Jake Sullivan, all the Nord Stream,
There you go.
Seymour Hirsch, the unholy trinity, Jake Sullivan, Anthony Blinken, Victoria Nuland. Let's let them just do it.
Well, someone says, don't be a snob, don't turn your nose up at Trump. And it is true. Trump is, at least until Kennedy entered the race, he was the only candidate in the race saying, hey, this is dangerous. This is World War
Yeah.
III. Trump
I
literally
don't,
tweeted out World War III.
I don't turn my nose up at Donald Trump. I think it's important to critique both sides because there are things to critique.
That's right.
But I personally I'm praying for a RFK Donald Trump election.
Well, me too. And speaking of Kennedy, I was on another show here on this network called Scenes from the Evolution. It's our Sunday show. And I was asked some tough questions about Kennedy because, the Scott Ritter crowd tends to side with Russia, tends to be very strongly against Ukraine. And so they had a lot of questions about Kennedy after they heard his speech in Boston on April 19th, where he declared his candidacy. And they thought he was kind of waffling on this war issue. And considering it's the most important issue in the world, we can't have any waffling on that. So he has since done some interviews where he clarified his position. And I brought a video clip today of Kennedy clarifying his position on Russia specifically, because in the past, he back in 2018, when all the Russiagate nonsense was going on, he bought into that stuff. He was following the party line of the Democratic Party and calling, Putin a madman and a troublemaker. But I think Bobby has since studied this issue more in depth. And in fact, Kennedy tweeted yesterday saying the exact same thing that Scott Ritter just said. What if the shoe was on the other foot? What if it was our White House that got droned? How would we respond? So you can tell he's thinking this thing through. And I just have a brief, 2-minute clip of Kennedy clarifying his position on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And Jeff, if you've got that ready,
should have
let's roll
listened
it.
maybe to Putin over many years. We made a commitment to Russia, to Gorbachev, that we would not move NATO 1 inch to the east. So, then we went in and we lied. We went into 13 NATO countries. We put missile systems in with nuclear capacity. We did joint exercises with the Ukraine and these others from NATO. What is the purpose of NATO? In NATO, this is what George Kennan asked. This is what Jack Matlock asked.
So you would have had Russia inside NATO.
I think that's something we should have considered. What is the purpose of NATO other than to oppose Russia? And if you're addressing Russia hostilely from the beginning, of course their reaction is going to be a hostile reaction back. And if you're slowly moving in, that all of these states who we said would never become part of NATO were suddenly become part of NATO, and we know what happened in the Ukraine. The U.S. Supported essentially a coup d'etat in 2014 against the democratically elected government of Ukraine. And we put in place, and we now have, the telephone call transcripts. Victoria Nuland, one of the neocons in the White House then, handpicking the new cabinet that was hostile to the Soviet Union. And so, if you look at that and you put yourself in Russia's position, and you say, okay, the United States, our biggest enemy, that's treating us as an enemy, has now taken over the government of a nation and made them hostile to us, and then start, passing laws that are prejudicial to this giant Russian population. If Mexico did that and then started they killed 14,000 Russians in Donbass, the Ukrainian government. If Mexico did that to expatriate Americans, we'd invade in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Preach.
Yeah. And if, how do I explain it today? It'd be like if Russia or China was, funding paramilitary troops in Mexico to the tune of like $100 billion, and then a Mexican drone blows up over the White House. What do you think this 2-year-old temperamental government with, tons of nuclear weapons, what do you think we do?
Right. So what do you think, Tyler? Besides the fact that he screwed up and said the Soviet Union instead of Russia, he's a boomer. I catch boomers all the time doing that. They still call Russia the Soviet Union. Oops. But
it was
do
the
you
Soviet
think he
Union
gets
a
it?
long time. I think he gets it. I really do. And the thing that stuck out to me, the reason I'm on the show, I'm in a organization called the Center for Political Innovation, CPI, and we apply a Marxist analysis to these geopolitics. And why were they in NATO? Because it's to spread the American empire. And the fact that the empire that pretends it's not an empire, right? That's what we are. But we sucked up the British Empire. That's what's going on. And the fact that you have a presidential candidate who can mention the Maidan 2014 coup and can, I don't know. Maybe I need to dig a little bit more. But I don't know if I've heard Trump talk about the 2014
He has
Maidan.
not. I've never, ever heard him say a word about it.
So that's a big deal. And as a former Sanders fan in my younger years, to see the DNC stab him in the back twice in a row, I'm very excited to see RFK cause as much trouble for Joe Biden as possible. Very excited.
Me too. And suddenly the race got really exciting when he jumped in. I don't know about you, but I sure as hell wasn't looking forward to another matchup between Biden and Trump. It would just be like a replay of 2020 all over again, and I wasn't looking forward to reliving that.
No. I would always look forward to the debates, and then they would juice Biden up on whatever like concoction of L-Dopa and methamphetamine they got in in the lab down there at Langley, and he'd sound like Shakespeare for an hour and then try to figure out which direction was the exit door.
And where's Jackie?
God help us.
His ghostly friend,
God
his
bless
dead
America.
friend that he's always talking to, or Harvey, the invisible rabbit who's always standing next to him.
Yeah,
that
he took off with
turns
his
to shake the
sister or
hand
his
of.
wife.
There's
He
nobody
couldn't
there.
figure out which one it was. He could go all day.